Hello, awesome students. It's me again. So I wanted to start this long lesson with a little joke. What do you call someone who steals soap at a camp? A dirty criminal. Thought I'd make you laugh before getting into this. So we're going to introduce the big question. And I'm going to explain to you what a big question is. A big question is a question that drives a unit of instruction. Your goal is to explore the content in the unit and analyze and think critically about the big question. Throughout the year, each unit will have a big question, and all of the lessons, all of the activities, and all of the readings are going to connect to this one question and digging deep to uncover a response. And it's going to be an independent response based on all that you've read to answer the big question. So everybody's answer is going to vary based on their reading experience. So drum roll, our big question for this unit is conflict necessary? Sometimes conflict has good results and sometimes conflict has bad results. So is conflict necessary in life? And then therefore, since literature models life, is it necessary in literature as well? So what I'm going to do for you, we've been practicing reading strategies. Last week was 3 specific reading strategies. I'm going to model for you how you should attack the texts throughout the year. Okay, we're going to do a close reading today. What I'm going to do is assume that you've read this text the first time. You've already read it once. And now we're going back to focus on varying strategies. Okay, we talked a little bit about, you had a little quiz last week about key ideas and details, which we now know is comprehension. You're going to see these terms a lot moving forward. Text analysis, which is thinking about the author's structure and why the author wrote these included stuff that he or she included, and then making connections, which is also known as integration of knowledge and ideas. So what I want you guys to do is just look at some of the bullet points under each of these. So key ideas and details is your first reading. You're going to read to unlock basic meaning. You're going to use context clues for unknown words. You're going to look at the details of each text. You're going to make inferences. And you might ask questions like, who are the main characters? When and where does the action take place, that setting? And what problems do the characters face? So you're just doing a basic reading, basic understanding with comprehension. That's your first reading of any text. The second and third readings, we're going to start to do a little deeper. Craft and structure involves thinking about the genre of the work. Is it a poem? Is it a short story? Is it a play? How does the author present his or her ideas? We need to analyze the features that contribute to the author's voice and style. Why did he or she choose word choice? What about word arrangement? And what about tone, the attitude that the author is pushing forth to us? You also want to take note on how the author uses language and literary elements. Again, my favorite thing. Okay? Consider the structure of it. Are there flashbacks, foreshadowing, or multiple points of view in a story? And as you read, asking questions, remember that's as high as you can go when you ask questions as you read is, how does the narrator's point of view affect my understanding? Would the story change if it was told from a different narrator? I bet it would. So how do the characters behave as they do? Remember, authors write these things. They create characters acting in a way that they do to entertain you. This is all very purposeful. How do the actions advance the plot? And then what is the conflict or struggle the characters face? We're specifically going to be digging deeper into that this unit, okay? And then finally, making connections. So now that we understand the author's style, we understand literary devices, we're going to go really high level and think about the integration of knowledge and ideas, which is relationships, comparing and contrasting, causes and effects. Symbols. Are there any symbols in the text? Can you compare a text that we're going to read with another text by the same author or a different author? Okay? Do you need to know more about a literary movement, about an author, or about a subject in order to understand the text? I just read a text which was on an American history text, and I didn't have much background knowledge, so I found myself talking, my dad is a history buff, I found myself talking to him a lot in order just to understand the text. So I knew that I had a weakness for American history, as sad as that is. I just don't know a lot about the presidents who founded our nation. So I was doing a biography, and I was asking my dad a lot. So there's an example of how I had to take it to another level to make sure I understood what I was reading. Okay? And in what ways is this story special, unique, or worthy? Do you like the story? You can either say yes or no, but why? That's just very, basic. Why don't you like it? What did you struggle with? What did you do well with as you read? Okay? So what I'm going to do is show you your Pearson textbook. You all should have logins at this point in time. It's a single sign-on. And I'm basically going to model for you how to close read. And then your activity for this week is actually going to be a close reading, where you're going to read the text 3 times and answer specific questions about key ideas and details, craft and structure, and dig a little bit deeper. This story is called The Old Man at the Bridge, and it's by Ernest Hemingway. And I want you to read through it. So now would be a good time to pause this video, single sign on to your text, and just read it for the first time. Then come back and press play again. Alrighty guys, welcome back. So what you should have done is basically read The Old Man and the Bridge by Ernest Hemingway and worked on key ideas and details. Remember our new terminology, which is comprehension. You should be able to answer who are the main characters, when and where does the action take place, and what problems do the characters face. Upon a second reading, or perhaps a third reading, we're going to do a close reading, which is digging a little bit deeper for higher level answers to questions and really thinking about a text analysis and connections. I'm going to read the first paragraph to you and highlight some of the things as a close reader you might think about. Okay? An old man with steel-rimmed spectacles and very dusty clothes sat by the side of the road. There was a pontoon bridge across the river, and carts, trucks, and men, women, and children were crossing it. The mule-drawn carts staggered up the steep bank from the bridge with soldiers helping push against the spokes of the wheels. The trucks going round up and away, heading out of it, all the peasants plodded along in the ankle-deep dust. But the old man sat there without moving. He was too tired to go any farther. So a couple of things that should have come to mind if you're digging deep and you're doing a close reading are indicated for you in the right side here. The old man of the title is mentioned in the story's first sentence. The pronoun "and" suggests that the narrator does not know exactly who the old man is. That's a huge clue written by the author, an old man. He doesn't say Harry, Steve, Mike. It's an old man. Secondly, we're going to think about craft and structure. Remember, that's analyzing your text. Hemingway's language, remember we always refer to an author, side note here, by his last name or her last name. We never call him Ernest. We call him by their last name. So Hemingway's language is simple but poetic. The consonant sounds in the phrases steel-rimmed spectacles and peasants plodded along the ankle-deep dust create strong rhythmic patterns. How many of you guys, those of you who've had me I'm sure, but how many of you guys picked up on the alliteration there? Raise your hands. Thirdly, you might consult a dictionary to determine what a pontoon bridge is. If you don't know what a pontoon bridge is, you should have looked that up as a good reader. And it's a floating bridge that is used by the military. The narrator also mentions soldiers, which may help you infer that the story takes place during wartime. The author uses the phrase, "it was my business." You guys know point of view. I, me, and my is first person. The story is told from first person point of view. Next, the old man's smile and his words show that he was happy in San Carlos and did not want to leave. This fact might help you determine why he still sits while everyone around him is moving away. And finally, this long sentence, number 6, let's go back to 6 here. It says, "I was watching the bridge in the African-looking county of the Ebro Delta and wondering how long now it would be before we would see the enemy, and listening all the while for the first noises that would signal that ever mysterious event called contact. And the old man still sat there." This long sentence, you might have read that and been like, "Whoa, that's a long sentence." This long sentence creates tension and reveals some sort of conflict. The narrator expects that danger is approaching, but the old man will not move to safety. Now guys, we said our big idea is conflict necessary? So that something should have gone on, a light bulb in your head should have been like, oh, I see the word conflict, I know that this unit deals with conflict. So therefore you're making connections, guys, which is integration of knowledge and ideas. That's high level. This is a close reading. You can see that I'm not just reading to understand, I'm actually analyzing and reflecting upon the words used by the author and how the text is set up and some of the choices that the authors make. That is where we're going to be heading for the rest of the year in all of the texts that we encounter. I'm going to do this again with you guys in live class. If you need help, please come. If you understand where you're headed and you guys want to try this on your own, my assignment for you this week is to read the story in your textbook, your online text, called The Jade Peony by Wei-Sin Choi. You're going to do a close reading. I'm going to ask you to dig a little bit deeper by giving you some questions to think about as you read. I'm going to give these questions to you so that you eventually learn. I'm going to take them away eventually as we get a little bit better at this, but I'm going to give you some questions that you should be thinking about and asking yourself. Remember, asking questions is a strategy as you read to help you become better readers. The whole goal of this course is to read better and apply this to all of your courses, which we call transfer. All right? Attend class if you need help. If you want to give the Jade Peony an independent practice shot, you certainly can. You'll find that on your single sign-on. It's called the Jade Peony. It's on page 9. And I will give you an assignment that goes with that, and then we will reflect on that. It'll be a formative assessment. We'll reflect on that, and I'll give you guys some feedback. Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.